Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, January 21st, 2025 Board of Education meeting to order at 7:02. We'll begin by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Hadlock, would you please read the mission statement for us?
I'd be happy to. The Orange Elementary School District recognizes that the education of each child is the shared responsibility of every member of our community. Our goal is to inspire and empower each student to achieve academic excellence, embrace social and individual responsibility, and lead with integrity. We believe all individuals should be valued and treated with respect, and together we will make a difference.
Thank you. We'll start with our board introductions. We'll start off with Amanda.
Amanda Zapatka.
Anthony Scarinzi.
Ronette James.
Carmen Rodriguez.
Liz Tremper.
Betty Hadlock.
Susan Riccio, Board Secretary.
Jeff Cap.
Tatiana Messina Mullen, Vice Chair.
Okay. Any public participation? I'm assuming none for tonight, so we'll move on to our consent agenda. I'll need a motion to accept the first item on the consent agenda. The first item is the minutes from the December 16th, 2024 Board of Education meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the December 16th, 2024 Board of Ed meeting? Betty? Do I have a second? Susan, any discussion? None? Okay, all in favor? Unanimous on that? Okay, we'll move over into our superintendent's report. Dr. Scarpetti, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Cap. Good evening, everyone. I want to begin by thanking all the board members. I know how busy you are. I know how busy it gets at the end of the year for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend any events to support our staff and students. It's greatly appreciated. And not to put more on your plate, but I have more dates for our concerts. It was shared in the board update, but if you have time to do so, we would love to have you. If so, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Darlene Williams. In addition to that, I sent something out with regarding Elected Officials Day. The official invitation is in front of you now. A few Amity students came by my office and dropped that off, and I want to make sure you received it right away in case. I believe you could RSVP. I believe there's an email to the superintendent's admin, but if you want to call us, we could do that on your behalf too. But if you have any time to do that, that would be great. Speaking of Amity, I know we've had some past discussions regarding the calendar. If you haven't heard, they did approve their calendar. Currently, right now for 25-26, Orange, Bethany, and Woodbridge, we have the same February break. Amity has the same, but they added the Friday before. So to be specific, for Amity's calendar, Friday, February 13th, that Friday before the weekend they have off, and then they have the 16th and 17th as we do. So just in case you haven't heard, but I know those were some of the discussions, and if you send myself or Darlene an email if you want to see it, or anyone, so we could send that out to you too. Our big focus, as you have known and as we've shared and Mr. Gray has shared at the Finance Committee, is the budget. Please, if you haven't noted, our budget workshop is January 30th. All 2025-26 department budget requests have been in. I'm going to be reaching out to Ms. Riccio as Chair of Finance Subcommittee and Mr. Cap as Board Chair to review some budget workshop expectations. But again, looking forward to seeing all of you next Thursday at 5 p.m. And I also would like to extend some thanks to Mr. Gray, our supervisor of maintenance, and all our custodial staff to getting the schools ready. We take what happened during the pandemic very strongly about how it's important to keep the schools clean. And so the break was an opportunity for us to do our touch points and such. I know Mr. Gray is going to extend a thanks to the work that the staff did yesterday to get the schools ready today without a delay. But I just want to thank Mr. Gray and the entire staff for doing what they did over break. And lastly, I just want to take an opportunity. It's hard to believe that we are in a new year already. But just take an opportunity to thank all of you. I wish you and your family a happy new year, and everyone watching home a prosperous new year to our staff and community. That ends my report, Mr. Cap.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
No, I just want to know, for the board members, their dinner will be on the 30th as well? Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move over to Mr. Gray.
Good evening, everyone. I'll start off with a recap of our grants for December. We have 4 active grants currently. The first is the ARPA Summer Mental Health Supports Grant that we've been updating each month. That is a $50,000 grant. We've spent down to $11,751. That will probably be expended somewhere in March or so, and then we'll start expending year 2 of that grant. We also have the we also have the Primary Mental Health Grant. That is a $20,000 grant. This is the grant that is funding our K-3 early detection and intervention programs for emotional, behavioral, and learning problems. And that is spent down to about $15,500. So we've spent about $5,000 or so out of that grant. And then we have the ARPA School Mental Health Specialist Grant. This is in year 2. Again, this is funding for a second social worker in district, and it is a strictly salary line item that is set aside $92,000. We're down to about $65,000. This is, again, year 2. We have year 3 coming up next year. It'll be funded 70%, so 30% has been put into our budget for next year. That's already been accounted for, and then after that, it'll become part of the operating budget, 100% of it. And then we also have the school security grant, which we finalized just recently. We sent all of the paperwork up to the state, so we're waiting for reimbursement. They told us it'll probably be about March before they get that to us. So that project is completely closed out now. Again, that was a $61,000 grant that we were getting back from them. The project overall was a $200,000 project funded through the town. But they'll get the reimbursement of the $61,000. And again, that's based on the wealth index and the reimbursement rate for cities for this type of project. For the finances, food services, our online program that generates letters to parents when students have a negative or low lunch balance has been corrected by our vendor, and letters began going out last week. We apologize for any inconvenience to families caused during a time when notifications weren't being sent out, but that should come on a regular basis now. So if a family has a low balance, which means they're below $10 in their account, or a negative balance, which is below 0, then they will get one of these alerts. The low balance alert comes on Tuesdays, and the negative balance comes on Thursdays. Families also can find updated free and reduced lunch applications and other relevant materials at our website, and they just need to go to the Food Services tab on the website to find those documents. Again, anyone who feels like they may qualify at any time during the year can fill out the applications and get them into us. As Dr. Scarpetti said, we're all in on the budget right now. We're preparing for our presentation next week, next Thursday at 5 p.m., so that we can have our workshop with all of you and tell you a little bit about our budget moving forward. The auditors have completed our independent accountants review process utilizing agreed-upon procedures, which are the AUP and certain EFS or Educational Financial System expenditure data. And the final report was received just before the holiday break, so we do have the final report. And that is the conclusion of my finance portion.
All right, thank you for that. Does anyone have any questions? Betty?
Thank you, Mr. Gray. What is the, I'm going to call it grace period for families who have a low balance or negative balance?
So what we try to do is work with them to get it paid off as quickly as possible, depending on the size of the debt. Some families have actually gone on to like a payment plan where they pay a little at a time. And usually what we'll do is when it gets to $50 negative, then a letter will be sent home from the office. If there's no answer to that, then the principal or the administrator will reach out to the families.
All right, so I'm happy to hear that you work with the families to make sure everything gets settled fairly, and, okay.
And
Absolutely.
if I may add just a piece, there's never a time a student, as a penalty of not getting paid, will not be fed. This child will always be fed.
Yeah, I assumed that, but I
Yeah,
thank
just
you,
like to-
I thank you for saying that, so people at home realize that.
Right.
I have one other question, Mr.
Sure.
Gray, and it's kind of tied to one of the policies that we have tonight. Is there any money from any of these grants that we still have that will be able to be put towards any summer programming?
Summer programming, meaning programs
Well,
for
the past couple
education
of
or
summers, we've
academics.
had some very nice programs for families to take advantage of that I know have been very well received.
So these ARPA grants are for primary health and for the mental health, won't be able to be used for
Mm-hmm. So
academic
we've
purposes or
used-
programs.
yeah, We've used all that
We've
money
used
up.
those, right.
Okay, I thought, I mean, when you didn't mention them, I figured that was the case, but I
Right,
just wanted to
we've
double
expended
check.
those completely.
Okay, thank you.
I've asked Dr. Russo one during her time to talk about other events that, not unfortunate, but will be paid for families to engage in and participate. And again, it was a wonderful thing that we've had those ARPA grants for the summer school that cost
Right,
our families
right.
nothing.
No,
but
I understand
unfortunately, those
that,
are gone.
right. Okay, that's what I, thank you.
Anyone else have any other questions? Okay, we'll move over to Dr. Russo. Oh,
Facilities partial.
oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Gray.
Just want to make sure I update you all.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry. Part two.
So as Dr. Scarpetti said, we take advantage of the holiday recess to get some things done in the buildings when there's not a lot of people in and out of the building. So we had our regular contracted preventive maintenance performed in two areas. Our fire suppression system contractor came in and completed the biannual inspections of each of our school kitchens. The inspection tests the functionality of all aspects of the fire suppression system to ensure proper working order. So those are the hoods all around all the cooking equipment. Sometimes it's in the middle of the kitchen, some kitchens have it on the outside walls, so they come in, they test all that, make sure it's working properly. Our fire sprinkler contractor conducted the quarterly inspection of the school fire sprinkler systems. Similar to the kitchen inspection, it tests the building-wide sprinkler system to ensure functionality. Also, during the holiday recess, I want to thank our custodial staff for the work that they did. They were power washing restrooms, they were sanitizing high touch points, and scrubbing and buffing floors, getting our schools ready for reintroduction of staff and students. Again, as Dr. Scarpetti mentioned, we really take the cleanliness and safety of the buildings very seriously, and our custodial staff does a great job of keeping our buildings clean for students and staff. And then, thank goodness, yesterday was a holiday when we encountered our first inclement weather event of the school year. There was no impact to schools since school was not in session. Dr. Scarpetti and I did not have to have a 4:30 a.m. conversation, so that was very nice. But I do want to thank our custodians and our maintenance supervisor for their work in treating the sidewalks and the walkways, the steps, and plowing out our parking lots. And I also just want to thank Mr. Foyer and the Highway Department. They're always helpful in salting our parking lots, and it really helped this go around because the temperatures are so low. Scraping with the plows didn't get everything up, so the salt really helps to take away the rest of that when the sun comes out. So thank you to the Highway Department as well. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you for that. Any questions on that? Go ahead, Betty.
Thank you again, Mr. Gray. I know that there were a number of maintenance contracts you mentioned. Is there ever a time when contracts are reviewed and then re-put out to bid so that there may be some new guy or new gal in town who might be interested in having their services used by the school system.
Yeah, so we review those annually, and there are some contracts that are, 3-year contracts, some are 2-year contracts, some are annual. We have a couple that are up this year that I'll be looking for some other prices and quotes from people, so.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the
that's done on
answer-
an annual
Yeah,
basis.
so the answer is yes, that
Yep.
they are put on. Thank
Yep.
you.
Any other questions, or anyone? No? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gray, for both those reports. Dr. Russo.
Good evening. We'd like to start tonight's report with a correction that needs to be shared from our last board update about the social studies curriculum trips. Thank you, Mrs. Hadlock, for that. The kindergartners won't be visiting the Stone Otis house. They will be visiting the academy. And if you can remember the images for the social studies curriculum, that third unit, it's called The Past and Present of the Orange Community, and that's why they are going to the academy. They're going to have an opportunity to visit an old one-room schoolhouse, which is also great for their information text writing and comparing and contrasting their classroom from today with the past. So thank you, Mrs. Hadlock, for that. And as Dr. Scarpetti mentioned, we did want to provide some summer opportunities for our students. And so for a fee, we will have Camp Invention available. A flyer was linked to the school newsletters for details, and we will share one at the next board update. But just a little information for anybody who may be listening or watching it from home, that this will take place at the Peck Place School for 2 weeks, the week of June 16th, Monday through Friday, from 8 to 12, and the week of June 23rd. 21st Century Aftercare will be available till 4:15 after Camp Invention. And some highlights or experiences include, I think this is so cool, creating a claw arcade. I could never really get those toys with that claw, so maybe I'll go and get some tips. Engaging in a penguin launch expedition, partaking in an illusion workshop that explores special effects, and engaging in an opportunity to use GPS, or Global Positioning System, and artificial intelligence tools to design a custom control panel to navigate a journey called In Control. And so, as I mentioned, details about these experiences are included in the flyer shared in the newsletter. We will also provide Lego robotics for current 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students, Monday through Friday, the week of July 7th and the week of July 14th. A flyer for that will go out this Friday in school newsletters. We are also finalizing some school-wide February author visits. Nick Brule is confirmed for February 11th at MLT. He's the author of the Bad Kitty books, and he does a really great job of explaining his writing process for kindergartners. We will keep you posted on the author for the 1 through 6 schools as soon as that's confirmed. Okay? And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you for that. Questions? Susan?
Thank you, Dr. Russo. Is that something new that we're doing, the author across all schools? Because, I mean, in the past, I recall, we had it like at our school, and then the other schools would do different things. But are we doing them all together now? That's great.
Yes, they're all agreeing on the same author.
Awesome.
The intent with that, Ms. Riccio, was to have a cost saving, so instead of
Yeah.
having different authors come in, to get someone and travel within those 1 or 2 days, so.
That's great.
And that's part of the collaboration with the PTO council that we've created some years back, and that kind of morphed into that.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions?
I have a question.
Ma'am?
Camp Invention is for incoming K through 6? Is that for everybody?
Yes, and we are going to include the 6th grade students who are graduating.
Okay, and then I know in
Oh, wait,
Ju-
not incoming K,
okay, so
not incoming K.
will there be anything for the younger grades in July, or just the 4th through 6th graders?
Right now, just for 4 through 6.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions? No? All right, thank you. Mrs. Ito?
Good evening. I have a brief report, just letting you know that our psychological management, the psychological physical management training, otherwise known as PMT, was held last week for our building crisis intervention teams. The purpose of this refresher is to give participants hands-on and practical experience in handling a variety of crisis situations. The core of PMT program involves specific preventative, psychological, and physical approaches. Over 30 certified staff members were trained this month, and in March, our non-certified staff will engage in the same refresher training. And just as a reminder, our Orange residents who have preschool-eligible children, they can sign up for our lottery, which will close at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, January 29th. Information about the sign-up is on our district pop-up, or you can call Special Services Department, and we can give you information about how to register or sign your child up for the lottery. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for that? No? Okay, thanks. Okay, we'll move over to board business. Let's see here. We have a policy second read, which is Orange Board of Ed Policy 4118.4-4218.4, Personnel Certified, Non-Certified Disabilities. Do I have a motion to accept the Orange Board of Ed Policy 4118.4-4218.4, Personnel Certified, Non-Certified Disabilities? Motions. Ronette, second. Carmen, any comments, discussions? All in favor? Unanimous, okay, that passes, and we'll move on to our second one. Policy second read, Orange Board of Ed Policy 6161.7, Instruction Use of Proprietary Software Products. Do I have a motion to accept the Orange Board of Ed 6161.7, Instruction Use of Proprietary Software Products? Motion, Susan, second. Anthony, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous on that as well. And moving over to our third one, policy second read, Orange Board of Ed Policy 6174, Instruction Summer School. Do I have a motion to accept the Orange Board of Ed Policy 6174, Instruction Summer School? Motion, Liz, second. Amanda, any discussion? Yes.
I just have one question, since the summer programming will be have cost for families, correct? Is there any consideration to any scholarship money? Is there anything, I don't know if there's ever been anything like that, but is that something that is possible?
There are times in the past that people have reached out and we have assisted that.
Thank you.
Good question. Any other discussion for anyone? Yeah.
I just had a question. I think in the wording, I could be wrong, I was going to pull it up, but there was, with the summer school, children that have, like, are tiered or have some kind of extra services provided during the year, there's wording in that for the summer school program that would also be provided. And I know last year when they had the camp for everybody, reading aids, like, were given during the day. Is there anything like that going to be this year?
We do have an extended school year for eligible, students who are eligible under IDEA
Okay.
for special education
But
services.
not with, like, it's not part of Camp Invention, there's no allocated time for reading or anything like that, like there was with the previous camp? Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Unanimous on that. Okay, we will move over to our standing committees, Finance. Susan?
The Finance Committee met prior to this meeting. We went through the finances, everything is in order. And again, budget meetings, January 30th, Thursday, 5 PM with dinner.
Okay, thank you for that. Personnel Policy Transportation, Betty.
Our committee did not meet in December, and due to the fact that we have additional budget meetings coming up this month, we will not be meeting this month. Hopefully, we will have a chance to meet before the next meeting where we will have a regular board meeting, which I anticipate will probably be March. Generally, we've had budget meeting as the February board meeting, so any further discussion of policies would take place after that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Buildings and Grounds, Anthony.
We also haven't met yet this year, but will eventually.
Okay.
Question?
Questions?
Is there any, and I should have asked Mr. Gray, I guess, is there any news about the feasibility study? Is there any update on that?
So we're currently having the finalized copy, but one of the things I was speaking with Mr. Cap is, let's get through the budget process first. And again, Mr. Cap, I don't want to speak if I'm speaking correctly, please
Go
let
ahead.
me know. And then the other piece that Mr. Cap and I have talked about is having a special meeting in which that architecture firm will come in to discuss that.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that we would have to address first. And as a reminder, if there's things that this architecture firm may share, that's in this feasibility study, most likely it will be a bond. It's not something that would be addressed right away.
Yeah,
Thank you. Sorry I didn't do that sooner.
No, thank you. And I'm assuming everyone's going to have questions. So that's why we'll have them come in, so, okay. Mr. Ziman is not here, so I will not have a report from him, so we'll move over to ACES. Susan?
Yes, ACES met on the 8th, regular business. We're getting close to starting our budget process as well there. The audit was completed and submitted prior to January 1st, which was great. We also signed an agreement with our Administrators Association. Their contract was approved. It was kind of a light meeting, honestly, which was good. So that was about it.
That's it?
Sorry,
Oh,
Yeah,
I know, okay. Any questions for Susan on that?
I can keep talking if you want me to.
Okay, well, then I'm going to look for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Susan, second, Ronette, okay. Does anyone want to abstain or have a discussion about it? Okay, all in favor? Okay, we are done at 7:30. Thank you all.